You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel with Banda Tandiwe on the main news. The headlines. Government will not legalize illegalities in water recharge zones, warns Water Development Minister. NAREP and fights deepen as Mawoshe camp goes into hiding. A ray of light on affordable COVID-19 tests kits at UNZA strives to develop it. In our international news, soldiers in Mali have forced President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita to resign, promised to hold new elections. And in our sports, Chipolopolo Botswana date confirmed for November. We do take a break and return with our stories right after.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you a filmmaker? Well, you are exactly what we're looking for.
Camnet TV is calling on local filmmakers. For more details,
You can visit our headquarters in Ibex Hill, next to Hilltop Hospital.
contact us on 0972 277467 or
0962 444 726. Camnet TV.
not just another channel.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Vice President Inongo Wina has tested positive of COVID-19. The 80-year-old Mrs. Wina becomes the latest high-profile individual to test positive for COVID-19. In a statement issued by First Secretary for Press and Public Relations, Isaac Chipampe, says President Lungu has wished the Vice President well. The Vice President's condition is, however, said to be stable. Camnet TV will continue to follow up on the story as it develops. Water Development, Sanitation and Environmental Protection Minister Dr. Jonas Chanda has called for the cancellation to a title to a piece of land in Dola's Hillcrest area, which is earmarked for development for a filling station. This is due to the fact that the land in question is a water recharge zone for Kafuvu River. Dr. Chanda says development should not come at the expense of protecting the environment. The minister, who was accompanied by Dola City Council Town Clerk Wisdom Walia, says if the developer is given a go-ahead to construct the filling station, the development will not only lead to the contamination of groundwater, but also disturb the flow into the Kafuvu River. And Dr. Chanda has given the Water Resources Management Authority, WOMA, the Zambia Environment Management Agency, ZEMA, and the Department of Water Resources Development up to Friday, 21st August 2020, to provide a detailed report on the land in question. This is according to a statement issued to Camnet TV by Ministry of Water Development Public Relations Officer Amos Zulu. Let's get the details.
That one, whether it's on title or not, the title will be cancelled because it has already broken the law. So you cannot legalize an illegality. So for me, but director, people should be proactive. Bawama iye, Bazema, whatever, work with the town clerk, Dola City Council, because the law is on their side. And what you see, if there is any need to cancel that title, which there is, by the way, that title will be cancelled. Because it's an illegality. You can even see the water here. When you put a filling station here, then what are you trying to achieve? So we are saying we want development, want filling stations, but not at the expense of the environment. So there will be no filling station here. This is high iron content. So the issue here is that this land was given by the council some time back for someone to construct a filling station. There's been a title. But this is a recharge point. This is where water starts from to form a stream which goes into the Kafuvu River. So putting a filling station here, apart from contaminating the water, is that you also dry up these water ponds, then you reduce the flow of water into the Kafue. I mean, you're destroying the environment itself. So the instruction that we're giving here is that warmer and same, we need a detailed report by director about here. They should guide us. They are the technical experts, and citing the law, then they work with our council. So when they work with the council, that is what we take to the Minister of Lands to call for the cancellation of the title that was given. Yeah, so we engage Honorable Kapata, but on the basis of that advice. Yeah, so I think they will not even waste time here. So there will be no illegalities, there will be no filling station here. I think that's the message.
The University of Zambia is in the process of developing a COVID-19 testing kit method for rapid detection of the coronavirus at minimum cost using low power and based on easy-to-use point-of-care devices. Land researcher Dr. Wansmas Munyati, who is also the Dean of the School of Natural Sciences, says the goal of the research is to develop a method that uses a portable device and can detect the virus in a much shorter period compared to the conventional methods. The multidisciplinary research project is being undertaken by a team of researchers in the Department of Chemistry and Biological Sciences under the School of Natural Sciences. I beg your pardon. Let's get the details.
With a continued increase in COVID-19 cases, a glimmer of hope has been established with reports that the University of Zambia under the School of Natural Sciences is developing a product that will be used to assess for COVID-19 at people's convenience. With a crisis such as COVID-19, the country looks for answers from researchers from institutions like the University of Zambia, and clearly they are answering. The product is expected to be ready in October this year. A multidisciplinary team of experts is being led by the Dean of Natural Sciences, Dr. Wansmas Munyati.
So what we hope to do is, you're aware that we already have methods that are being used for detection of the coronavirus, but these usually require a high level of expertise. And also, you can imagine that there are several steps that you have in actually testing, starting from sample collection, transportation, handling, and so on and so forth. So the current methods are very good, but they also require a high level of expertise and also very specialized labs. So what we are hoping to do with this new method is a method that will be easy to use, requires less expertise, and also is portable. We want a device which you call like a point of care device. So in other words, if say you're able to go into the community, you'll be able to easily get those samples, and hopefully someone who doesn't have that much experience can still be able to use the device.
Dr. Munyati is hopeful that the product will help in early detection of COVID-19, adding that research has already begun.
In future, we want this device to be able to transmit data wirelessly. So that, for example, if you're having it in a point of care in a remote place, once you've got your detection, then you can wire it to a centralized place where the data can actually be captured and analyzed.
It is the hope of everyone that the testing kit will be ready soon, especially now when the whole world is in need of COVID-19 testing kits, making it difficult for countries to share. Surely, a Zambian product will be of great help for the country and probably the global village. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya says every individual plays a critical role to play in complying with laid-down measures to combat the virus. He says matters such as overcrowding of employees at workplaces has been discouraged, urging employers to create schedules that minimize the spread of the disease. The minister, however, says government is of the view that economic activities must continue, but that people should ensure that they heed to the health guidelines. The minister was speaking in Lusaka on Wednesday during the COVID-19 daily update, where he reviewed that Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 237 COVID-19 cases, bringing the cumulative number to 10,218. Among these, 65 people were admitted at Levin Wanawasa Hospital, where 9 are in a critical condition and 2 are on assisted ventilators. Details in this report.
Today, Zambia recorded 237 new cases out of 845 tests done, bringing the total number of cases to well over 10,000, therefore standing at 10,218. Again, the spot map does show wide geographic spread, and we continue to see cases in different parts of the country. Currently, we have 67 patients admitted to Levy isolation facility, 9 are in critical condition, and 2 are on assisted ventilation. We unfortunately recorded 2 facility deaths from Levy Mwanawasa Hospital, and we recorded 3 DIDs in Ndola 1, Chilawombe 1, and Bwansha 1. The cumulative number of deaths now stand at 269, of which 266 have been classified as follows: 79 as COVID deaths and 187 as COVID associated deaths. 3 deaths are pending classification. 350 patients are being discharged from our various facilities, and that brings our cumulative number of recoveries to 9,126. Therefore, the picture is 10,218 cases, 9,126 recoveries, 269 deaths.
And in other news, Paramount Chief Mpezeni of the Ngoni People of Eastern Province has maintained the need for institutional beds that are aimed at reducing maternal and child mortality amongst his subjects. The Paramount Chief says that those living away from health facilities are taken to the hospital a few weeks or 1 month before expected date of delivery to avoid maternal deaths. Paramount Chief Mpezeni was speaking when Health Professions Council of Zambia HPCZ officers paid a courtesy call on him at his palace on Wednesday. Let's get the details.
Among the 10 legacy goals formulated by the country's Ministry of Health, reduction in maternal and child mortality is not exceptional. While government, through the Ministry of Health, continues to accelerate measures of completely eradicating this vice, Paramount Chief Mpezeni of the Ngoni-speaking people in Eastern Province maintains his stance to be part of this fight. It has been established that his area has recorded a reduction in maternal deaths after his leadership resolved to declare home births punishable, a situation that has compelled women to register their pregnancies in early stages. The Paramount Chief has informed Health Professions Council of Zambia officials who paid a courtesy call on him at his Ependukeni Palace that no woman in his chiefdom is allowed to undergo home births, otherwise the man responsible for the pregnancy is punished or fined, while money generated from the penalties is channeled to sustaining a mother's shelter within the area.
Mlando timampasa mlando so aliyeserero akutaka unalibe tumasiku pafupi kalikali waenda kudala kusipatala no lamulo la kosa mboya asati romba kutati ai bantu bamvera baramvera kutia tawi kokwana ikamu.
In this regard, information gathered by HPCZ at Provincial Health Office is reported to have indicated a reduction in maternal deaths from 91 in 2018 to 62 in 2019 in Eastern Province, while a further reduction being expected in the year 2020. Meanwhile, HPCZ Registrar and Chief Executive Officer Mr. Bwembia Bwalia commends Paramount Chief Mpezeni's measure of reducing maternal deaths, charging that it is worth emulating.
So this has compelled all mothers, starting at the time when they know that they are expecting, they are forced to go and register at the nearest health facility. So this is a very good practice, and would want other chiefs within the country to emulate what is happening here at the chiefdom.
For Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Mwinga. Suspended Lusaka Mayor Malsamba has
cried foul over the local government minister's decision to seize all privileges that come with being the city father. Speaking to Camnet TV on Wednesday, Mr. Sampa says by law, anyone should be treated innocent until proven guilty, meaning that they should enjoy the privileges that come with their job description. After the suspension, local government minister Charles Banda ordered that all vehicles be seized from the mayor until the investigations are done as instituted to find out the extent of illegal land dealing by the council. Last month, Dr. Banda suspended Kitwe and Lusaka city councils after it discovered that the two councils were entangled in land allocation, which the minister says is a preserve of the Ministry of Lands. Let's get the details.
Because the minister suspended us and the Lusaka City Council, in conjunction with the minister, they took my utility vehicles for the council, both the K1 and the 4x4 van. So the 4x4 van I was using in the night when the driver knocks off. The K1 I was using it for ceremonial when we were going for Independence Celebration, Africa Freedom Day, when I'm on the program of the state, or when the president is coming or going at the airport to see him off. That's the duty of a mayor in any city. That's ceremonial role. But if I'm going to do Operation Kamata at 01 to check on a bar that is operating illegally, it's not a ceremonial event. So I use the 4x4 incognito, drive myself for security reasons. So they got that. So meanwhile I have to work. I have to save the people of Lusaka who voted me into office. They don't understand what suspend is. They don't care. Me as the person they voted, they want results every day. If they are suffering, they need food, they call me and they ask, or masks, like yesterday I was called. So I bought to Tubunga 2, na mask 300, I put Pamutwe, and I started walking, and I went to Karingaringa. It took me about 50 minutes. Lubilo lwamwe pikubangirira. It simply means if you are short and you're on a race like a tortoise, you start early.
National Restoration Party NAREP conflicts continue to deepen as the court has ruled in favor of Steve Nyirenda, who was until last week ousted by other party members. The party has been divided into two camps, that of Steve Nyirenda and his alleged Vice President Charles Maboshe. NAREP Secretary General Ezra Banda has told Camnet TV Charles Maboshe and his team have locked up the party secretariat officers upon hearing of an injunction. More details in this report.
Confusion in the National Restoration Party NAREP continues as NAREP members who fired Steve Nyirenda from being the party president ran from receiving an injunction from court, leaving party officers locked up. A check by Camnet TV found officers heavily locked up upon hearing NAREP Secretary General Ezra Banda was bringing an injunction. Ezra Banda has told Camnet TV he is surprised by the behavior of Charles Maboshe, Ezra Ngulube, Maybin Kabwe, Frank Sichone, Evelyn Malongo, Susan Chupeta and Thomas Kayola for running away from receiving an injunction after showing so much courage of doing wrong things or firing a party president who was duly elected.
That interfering. So as I was driving along the road, I saw the gates were open. But now when I came back with the documents, everything is closed. And I've made an effort to call the VIP, Mr. Maboshe himself, so that I submit this. The phone was ringing, and from the background he picked it because it was going on. They were discussing, but he didn't even want to answer my call. Then thereafter, I tried again, the phone was off. Yeah. I think when I called, the VIP should have given me an audience, like to pick my call and appreciate why I was calling. But I think everybody is aware because this document now has been circulated into all media houses. So I think even them, they have that information. What we will do is they have to be saved this. I wouldn't want to speak on their behalf. But I've made an effort, I've caught, as I've said, and the phone was not only ringing, it was, answered.
In the injunction, the defendant, including Charles Maboshe and NAREP current president and Frank Sichone, the spokesperson, are prohibited to issue out statements regarding National Restoration Party NAREP and its leadership. 15th of August, businessman Stephen Nyirenda was given a vote of no confidence and ordered to leave the party as he was accused of causing confusion in the party, and Charles Maboshe was appointed as party president. Stephen Nyirenda went to court and now there is an injunction in his favor, while Maboshe and his crew desert the party secretariat. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
You're watching the Camnet TV main news with Bandit Handy, where we do take our set of commercials and return to more news stories. Do stay with us.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. A Patriotic Front member, Thabo Kawana, has observed with sadness failure by the Zambian people to observe national values such as flying the national flag at half-mast during times of national mourning. He says it is disappointing to note that even government institutions that should spearhead such values are failing to observe these guidelines. Mr. Kawana's observation comes in the wake of the declared 3 days national mourning by President Edgar Lungu in honor of late Grey Zulu, who died on the 16th of August 2020 on Sunday, aged 95. A check by Camnet TV on Wednesday morning found some public institutions, including the judiciary, amongst other ministries, not complying with the national mourning values. Let's take the details.
The late Alexander Grey Zulu was a nationalist. He was a true patriot of the Republic of Zambia, all the way from the days prior to independence.
Zambia's longest-serving Vice President Grey Zulu, who died on the 17th of August, is being mourned by many Zambian citizens. Alexander Grey Zulu was a Zambian politician and freedom fighter born in Chipata and died at 96. But sadly, some flags at some important ministries, including the judiciary, are still flying high, despite the Republican President Edgar Chagwa Lungu declaring a 3 days national mourning for the late Grey Zulu. Some have described the late as a man who was a selfless servant of the people of Zambia, who had several ministerial positions, including the position of the Secretary General of UNIP, and Zambia's history could not be written without mentioning Alexander Grey Zulu. Now, as sad as it may seem, the great man is not respected by some important institutions, such as the judiciary and the Higher Education Ministry, including the Ministry of Works and Supply. As of today, 10 hours in Lusaka, these ministries had their flags flying high. Thabo Kawana, a Patriotic Front member, is saddened by this event.
It means, therefore, that all national flags must fly half-mast. Nobody must raise their flag all the way. And this has been demonstrated by State House itself. This flag, we went round, the flag at State House is half-mast. The flag at Ministry of Foreign Affairs is half-mast. But what is disappointing is that going around Brentwood Drive, looking at the ministerial residences, the flags are all the way up. You look at other ministries like transport, like communications, it's all the way up. You look at, that's the judiciary. The Supreme Court has their flag half-mast, but the lower courts have their flags all the way up. Now, this is distortion, and it must raise concern to the people, especially those in charge of protocol, that as a nation we must respect systems.
He further advised vice presidents in the country be given the same treatment just like of presidents when they leave office. Looking at the status of Guy Scott, a man who served alongside the late Michael Chilufesata.
It's important that we look into the welfare of vice presidents. We have done well in looking at the welfare of former presidents, but we need to do a lot in as far as former vice presidents is concerned. It's looking at the office of the vice president. It is important that that office also is accorded some recognition and benefits that sort of accrue to the office of the presidency.
The man, known to many simply as Alexander Grey Zulu, enabled this country to score many victories. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Republican Progressive Party RPP President James Lukuku has urged all Zambians, including government leaders, to safeguard the freedom being enjoyed which the freedom fighters labored for. Mr. Lukuku says Zambians should learn from freedom fighters like the late Grey Zulu. Mr. Lukuku said this when he sent out his farewell remarks to the late former United National Independence Party UNIP Secretary General and freedom fighter Grey Zulu.
You know, Comrade Grey Zulu and all of them in 1964, they are giving us a very big lesson because they were put together by a very strong comradeship. There was a lot of comradeship that put them together, and what other factor put them together was that they loved this country. So there was comradeship and there was a lot of love for this country. So those are the lessons we should learn from the likes of Comrade Grey Zulu has left us, and we say farewell, Comrade Grey Zulu. This country will always remember Comrade Grey Zulu. I think we have got another surviving member of cabinet as that 1964, that's Honorable Scott Awina. We have got Dr. Kenneth Kaunda with us. We are there to appreciate what God has given us. We have got a lot of lessons to learn from these comrades that were there to mold this nation together, that fought for the freedom of this nation, and they made sure that we have got the freedom that we are enjoying now, which we shouldn't take for granted because people died for the freedom that we are enjoying. So they loved this country and a very strong comradeship. Those are the two lessons that we can learn from our brothers from 1964.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister under the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, MMD, Kavenga Mpande, has advised the current crop of politicians to emulate the style of leadership practiced by the late veteran politician Grey Zulu and others. Speaking in an interview with Camnet TV News in Kasempa district of Northwestern Province, Mr. Mpande says Mr. Zulu and his comrades at all times practiced politics of national unity and peace building, which is no longer the case today. He observes that currently hate speech and character assassinations has dominated the Zambian political arena. Let's take a look.
The late freedom fighter Grey Zulu, who died on Monday, 17th August 2020, aged 96, seems to have touched many lives, the more reason why Zambians continue to mourn his passing on. Among those touched by Mr. Zulu's death include former Zambia's Foreign Affairs Minister under the MMD government, Kavenga Mpande. At the time Mr. Zulu was an active politician, Mr. Mpande was also an active journalist who covered Mr. Zulu at various functions, both local and international. Mr. Mpande eulogizes the late.
I knew the late Grey Zulu as a humble, very committed, dedicated son of Zambia. And I must say I learned one or two things from him. Humbleness, as well as sincerity. He was a very honest man. And I must say that I knew about his attribute. Mainly the first time I had an assignment with him, I was a journalist. He was officiating at a Labor Day way back in 1975 or somewhere around there in Kitwe. You know, that's when I came very close to him, and of course after that I was quite close to him.
He appeals to Zambians to emulate Mr. Zulu and the crop of other older politicians' style of leadership, which was devoid of hatred and character assassination.
Oh, I can appeal to the modern and current generation of politicians is that let's try to emulate the late Grey Zulu and these colleagues at that time, the politics which were being practiced were politics of unity, politics of purpose. But of now, as I notice, as I look around what is happening in the Zambian scenario regarding politics, instead of improving the politics of Zambia, they are getting stagnated because we are concentrating too much on hate speech. There is so much hatred. There is so much falsehoods against, especially those in office. It shouldn't be so. Let us build this country, Zambia. Grace Zulu and his team were focused on one Zambia, one nation. And my appeal is that can we emulate Grace Zulu? May his soul rest in eternal peace.
President Edgar Lungu has since declared a 3-day national mourning for the late Grace Zulu, who is expected to be buried in Chipata of Eastern Province on Friday this week. Mr. Zulu served as the first Secretary General of the United Independence Party UNIP and later went on to serve in various national portfolios, among them Minister of Commerce and Industry, Minister of Transport and Works, Minister of Mines and Cooperatives, Minister of Home Affairs and Defense. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News in Kasempa.
And in other news, the ruling Patriotic Front PF in Kasempa district of Northwestern Province says no meaningful development can be achieved with a divided citizenry. Kasempa District PF Mobilization Chairman Norman Kalima states that Northwestern Province has continued to trail behind under other provinces in terms of development because the region is highly divided. Mr. Kalima tells Camnet TV News in an interview that politicians have contributed to the escalation of division in their quest for political office. More in this report.
An English adage says, "United we stand and divided we fall." This slogan seems to be taking root in Northwestern Province, where stakeholders have established that the province is so divided among its people. The ruling Patriotic Front PF in Kasempa district of Northwestern Province, through its chairman Norman Kalima, has expressed concern at the entrenched division among Northwesterners. Mr. Kalima says no meaningful economic development can be achieved through divisions.
There is no much unity that we can talk about, and this is the reason why a number of people have taken advantage of our province as people from Northwestern, because we are too divided. But we must realize that there is no society that has developed where people are so divided. For us to witness the meaningful social and economic development of Northwestern Province, we need to come together as a people of the same province to look at what can actually develop this province.
Asked what could be leading to these divisions in the province, this was his response.
One of the major reasons why we are not united is because we don't consider ourselves to be a province, but we consider tribes to be more important than the province. So you find that Kaondes want to recognize themselves as Kaondes. Rundas want also to support amongst themselves. Ruvares want to go by that way. And then we also have got these ethnic groups that are in the province. So because of having so many tribes in the province, we have failed to come to the common agenda. I think that is the more factor which we can actually spot out as at now. And then the political divide also has contributed. We have failed to see where development can come from. So politicians, especially those that are also trying to wrestle power from the sitting government, take advantage of the divisions in the province to divide us further.
Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News, Kasempa District, Northwestern Province.
A newly founded Economic Freedom Fighters EFF party says enjoying freedom on an empty stomach does not make the country really free. EFF President Kasonde Mwenda says Zambia's economy has been limping for years, needing attention, serious attention by those in authority. In this regard, Mr. Mwenda says his party will give a practical solution once they are voted into office next year. The EFF leader has pledged to bring economic emancipation by filling the vacuum felt by the Zambian people, especially the youth. Mr. Mwenda was speaking to Camnet in a walk-in interview. Let's get the details.
Leader for the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, and our mandate is to restore dignity to Zambia. It's over 56 years. We don't have so much to say. We quite all right saw our now forefathers how they brought us political emancipation. We are coming to bring economic emancipation, because if we are not economically emancipated, then we don't have a future. How can you even stand and enjoy other rights when you don't even know where your food is going to come from? Unlike other political parties that are around that are born out of hatred, out of bitterness, we are born out of passion and a desire to drive this economy, to raise up the sleeping giants. We are a country that has got resources, and enough is enough. We cannot continue on this trajectory that doesn't take us to the promised land.
Political parties are not answering our issues. We've got youths that have reached the age of 35. They don't have houses. They don't have land. They don't have jobs. We want to create a platform for the youths so that they are able to voice out to the public. They are able to speak what they want. We want to shape the policies of the country. So we have realized that we have not been represented adequately by these political parties, and as EFF we've come as youths, and we are saying the youths come and join us. We are a newly formed party, and there is a lot of room for you. We want your ideas to be on the table, because we believe that the solutions to our country will come from you, and together with what we have, we should.
The Republican Progressive Party RPP President James Lukuku has bemoaned the continued disrespect of state institutions such as the police by the Patriotic Front PF members. Mr. Lukuku says he is saddened how the PF cadres have made it a trend of ill-treating the Zambia police and get away with it. Mr. Lukuku was reacting to a video that circulated on social media where an alleged Patriotic Front member was seen filming a police officer accusing him of stating that President Lungu will not win the 2021 general elections. The video clip has received massive condemnation from various sectors, players, including those of the ruling Patriotic Front.
This is the video that has sparked concern among members of the public, as this police officer is accused of saying Lungu takapite, also translated as President Lungu will not go through in 2021 general elections. Afterwards, a Patriotic Front PF cadre verbally harasses the police officer for allegedly saying those remarks. Previously, the country witnessed similar incidences of PF cadres harassing the law enforcement institution. One such is an attack of the country's central police station in Lusaka, and this is what the Republican Progressive Party feels about this matter.
The other issue that I would like to talk about is just the disrespect that is being shown to the Zambia police by the Patriotic Front cadres. I think we should inspect the institution of the police, because without the police, this nation cannot do. So we are appealing to the cadres of the Patriotic Front to have the respect for the police. There is no way you can have a problem with a police officer, then you start calling a minister, and then it's very unfortunate that the police doesn't want to also cherish the respect that they deserve. So we say that the transfer that was given to that police officer that was quarreling with a Patriotic Front cadre, I think that was a very misplaced action that Ben Kapeso, the deputy commander of the police, did to transfer a person because of a windy complaint, just a windy complaint that they received from a cadre that was just talking from without. I think that's not the way we are supposed to do things. We have got a lot of recent incidences of cadres insulting the police. I think that's not in the best interest of institutions of the state that deserves the respect that we should give them.
PF Media Director Sande Chanda, who took a stance as pronounced by the Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo, as regards further investigations in this matter, gives Camnet TV this reaction.
We watched and listened to the video in question. We take the position that the stance as pronounced by the line minister, Honorable Stephen Kampyongo, is correct. The allegations against the law enforcement officer, the policeman, cannot go without having to look at evidence and to prove whether or not he had made those particular remarks. And it's only then that his superiors, would be in a position to make particular decisions as per the profession, the rules and regulations of the Zambia police. So we again would want to appeal to our membership that the police service is supposed to be a friend of everyone, including the ruling party. With that said, it's very important that where certain allegations and serious allegations for that matter are made, it's only in the interest of justice and fairness.
Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Namwinga Mwinga.
The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is still actively undertaking investigations regarding the simultaneous and synchronized hike of cement prices. CCPC has been investigating possible cartel conduct in the cement sector since 2019 after it carried out raids on 4 companies, namely Lafarge Zambia PLC, Dangote Cement Zambia Limited, Zambezi Portland Cement Limited and Pandey Limestone Limited. Despite investigations being hampered by the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, the Commission has made great progress contrary to media reports. CCPC says it will not condone any exploitation of consumers by any company. The Commission has further warned all perpetrators that the catalyst conduct is criminal in nature and any company found wanting would be punished in accordance with the provisions as provided for under the Competition and Consumer Protection Act, CCPA, number 24 of 2010. This is contained in a statement issued to Camnet TV by Senior Public Relations Officer Namukolo Kasumpa. We do take a break and return with our international and sports stories. Do stay with us.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant Save Nations to Develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown. and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. In our international news, soldiers in Mali have forced President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta to resign. Military leaders say that this will form a transitional civilian-led government and organize what they call credible elections. The West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, has condemned the coup. In the coming hours, the UN Security Council will meet to discuss the crisis. We will get visual of exactly what is happening in the neighboring Abuja to discuss the latest. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, a judge in Lebanon has ordered several arrests over the devastating explosion in Beirut on August 4th. The blast killed more than 200 people and left parts of the city in ruins. In total, 25 people are facing charges, but many are calling for more accountability. Al Jazeera has more on the stories.
Soldiers guard the residence of Mali's President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in the capital, Bamako. He and Prime Minister Boubou Sese were detained here on Tuesday. As rumours of a coup spread, President Keïta appeared on state television announcing his resignation.
I want no blood to be spilled to keep me in power, and that's why I would like to thank the Malian people for their warmth. I am telling you now that I'm resigning from my position as the president and all my other positions, and I announce the dissolution of the assembly and the government.
West African bloc ECOWAS responded forcefully to the coup, isolating Mali through border closures, suspending financial flows, and called for sanctions against coup organisers and their supporters. Speaking on state television, coup leaders say they're acting in the country's best interests.
People of Mali, we are not holding on to power, but we are holding on to the stability of the country, which will allow us to organise within an agreed reasonable time frame general elections to equip Mali with strong institutions which are able to better manage our everyday lives and restore confidence between the government and the governed.
Many Malians welcomed the coup. Crowds frustrated with the president and his government spurred the soldiers on. Some ransacked and burned government offices.
We have come out today to call for the total resignation of President Keïta because we heard there were shots fired by the military, and we've come out to help our soldiers get rid of the president.
We are tired. The country is paralyzed, and I do not want this government.
The soldiers began their mutiny at a base on the outskirts of Bamako, the same base that saw a 2012 army uprising that opened the way to Keïta's presidency. Heavily armed troops were later seen escorting a vehicle believed to be carrying the president.
We're very happy because this is a liberation for the people of Mali. All of Mali's people were waiting for this day. All of Mali's people were waiting for the president and his men to allow us to breathe.
Keïta has faced weeks of opposition protests calling for his departure after disputed parliamentary elections earlier this year. Much of the country is already outside the control of the government that's struggled to contain an armed insurgency that's claimed thousands of lives. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera.
Inconsolable. Families of firefighters killed in the Beirut port explosion say their goodbyes. 10 died. They were among the first responders as the disaster unfolded. 2 weeks on, there are still more questions than answers on what caused the blast that destroyed lives in many areas of the Lebanese capital.
When they arrived, they saw the whole of the smoke and they thought they needed more help from the fire department. They called the operation room again and told them we need backup.
Before the biggest blast, firefighters were pictured trying to enter a burning warehouse. They weren't warned about the thousands of tons of ammonium nitrate. Initial investigations suggest maintenance work could have triggered several explosions before the massive one. It's emerged that everyone at the highest levels of government, including the president, were aware that the chemicals were stored in the warehouse for years without proper safety precautions. Journalists such as Riyad Kubaisi, who have been physically attacked over the years for investigating corruption at Beirut port, have documents that show years of inaction and negligence failed to dispose of the explosive chemicals.
My personal experience, why the ammonium nitrate stayed there, because they didn't see any danger in it. They only saw in it $1 to $1.5 million. These are mafia men appointed by mafias that are elected via democratic process.
The state is weak and its institutions are controlled by political parties who have been in power for decades. The case is now in the hands of the judiciary to determine where the ammonium nitrate came from, who shipped it, and who was responsible for handling and securing it.
Police have sealed off the area around Warehouse 12. Investigators are at the site of the blast, which has come to symbolize the decades of corruption and mismanagement plaguing the country's institutions. The caretaker Prime Minister Hassan Diab, who resigned under public pressure following the explosion, didn't mince his words when he said corruption is bigger than the state.
Many fear those responsible will get away with the crime. Lebanon's leaders, who first promised a swift and transparent investigation, are now saying it's complex and may take time. Zana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
We now look at our sports news. In our sports news, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has announced the qualifiers for Cameroon 2022 Africa Cup of Nations will resume in November, with Zambia facing Botswana in back-to-back fixtures. According to a circular by CAF to its member associations, the qualifiers will be staged on the window of November 9th to 17th, with the concluding matches pushed to March 22nd to 30th next year. The tournament's postponement from 2021 to 2022 has been confirmed. Zambia will play Botswana in November over 2 legs. The Chipolopolo is in Group H of the qualifiers alongside Algeria, Zimbabwe and Botswana. The qualifiers for the Qatar 2020 FIFA World Cup will be staged from May 31st to June 15, 2021, with the first 2 rounds of matches penciled for that window. March Day 3 and 4 for the Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup will take place on the window of August 30th to September 7th. This is according to a Football Association of Zambia FA's Facebook page. And in other sports news stories, Chris Froome and Geraint Thomas have left out of the Team Ineos Tour de France squad. Chris Froome and Geraint Thomas have both been left out of the Team Ineos Tour de France squad as Sir Dave Brailsford signals a changing of the guard within the team. Defending champion Egan Bernal will line up with the support of 2019 Giro, but 4-time Tour winner Froome will instead go to Vuelta Espana in November, while 2018 Tour winner Thomas looks into the Giro d'Italia in October. It is a significant moment in the history of a team that has won 7 of the past 8 tours, 6 of them with a British rider, with Luke Rowe, the only Brit in an 8-man squad, with instead places the emphasis on the youth of Beno and Pavel Sivakov, both 23. We monitor BelfastTelegram.com. That sports news item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Government will not legalize illegalities on water recharge zones, warns Water Development Minister. NAREP and fights deepen as Maboshe camp goes into hiding. A ray of hope on affordable COVID-19 test kits as UNZA strives to develop it. In international news, soldiers in Mali have forced President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita to resign, promised to hold new elections. And in sports, Chipolopolo Botswana date confirmed for November. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of 1 John chapter 2 verse 6, and it reads, "He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked." Thank you so much for joining me on the Camnet TV main news. My name is Bandet Handiwe. Camnet TV, not just another channel.